I hereby call this regularly scheduled board meeting to order. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Catlin, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Really amazing to look out there and see all those faces. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for coming. Item number 2, elect chairman pro tem.
Madam Chairman, I move that, I don't know how to move this, that we elect you to be the chairman pro tem.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to elect myself as chairman pro tem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That's like my favorite moment in all of it. All right. On to item number 3, approval of the agenda. Please note that we have modified our agenda since it was initially sent out.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
It's been moved and seconded to approve our amended agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 4, presentations and recognitions. Item A is Saratoga 2A Girls Cross Country State Champion Team, Boys All-State recipients. So, Mr. Jennings.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the board, I'd like to welcome Coach Honholt, the 2A Girls Cross Country Coach of the Year, and his team can come up, and Coach Honholt will tell you all of his accomplishments and all of their accomplishments this year. So.
Where are we facing on this one? The board. Yes.
All right, so our girls team is the 2A state champion for the 2nd year in a row. So it doesn't happen by chance. I think that the hardest day of the year for me is state cross country championship, because I'm a little depressed the next week that I don't get to work with them until track season. So I can't tell you enough. They make it look easy. You know, we can only take 7 girls to the state championship, and all 7 of them placed in the top 13 in state. Wow. And six of them were all staters, and only 10 in the state get a vehicle. Okay. And so, yeah, we were kind of hogs this year as far as all state performers. And again, it doesn't happen by pure chance. They work harder than everybody else, and that's the bottom line. And so I can't thank them enough. And what this group represents, as far as not just runners, but committed athletes, students, they're all there. And so I thank them for their efforts. And if any of them want to say anything, I'll let them. They should all be able to say plenty, because they never shut up. And so I'll let the seniors go. If they want to say something about this season real quick, I'll put them on the spot. But if you guys clam up, you're in big trouble. One of you got to start.
Okay, well, first, we'd like to thank Mr. Hahn for all the dedication and the work he puts in during the season and out of the season, especially off season, during the summer when we have to be working towards our goals. He is always there for us when we need him, whether it be physical or emotional help. He's a very supportive coach, and we can't thank him enough for it.
Thank you.
I just want to say, like, coming from encampment, it was kind of hard to, like, fit in with these girls because they've known each other for years, but they really welcomed me, and so did Mr. Hahn, so I just want to thank you guys for that.
I think they covered everything.
He's one of the ones that never shuts up. You guys all right?
What?
Okay, well, I just want to congratulate you all for the amount of work you put in, and don't get tired of doing it. That's all I would tell you. And seniors, and I'll bring the tear to your eyes as a coach to lose kids every single year, but thank you for your commitment to the program and to each other. And I think you bottle things up to win a state championship. You have to have a cohesion that's second to none. Each one of these girls flip-flop, place-wise, all through the season, but not once do they not root for each other. And that's where you win state championships, where the team is more important than the individual. And yes, everybody likes to win, but when it comes down, the banner on the wall in the gym when you walk in here 20 years from now is what you'll remember the most. And so, congratulations to you. Okay, our last two are all staters. This is not to take anything away from my girls, all right? But any really successful program has to have true leadership. And these two gentlemen right here are as good as leaders that we've ever had in the school, the program, and in the state of Wyoming. These guys know that this is the guy right here. Where we end up in practice is in relationship to the two kids that are out front. We'll start with Grant. Grant became the first 4-time state champion in the history of Wyoming cross country, any class. Never happened before, and probably will never happen again. Very, very special because I know how big his heart is and what kind of dedication he puts to them. And it doesn't matter who he's racing against; they better be on their A game because there's that point where he's going to make sure he wins, and that's about how it is. We also have the state runner-up who would be a 4-time state champion as well if we didn't have a brother. And so these two gentlemen here, I've had them since all of them since 6th grade, and it's been the same way their whole entire life. And so I know I'll miss you tremendously, and our program will miss you tremendously. And now we get to find out who the new leader is from this bunch right here. But I want to congratulate you and thank you for what you've done for Saratoga High School, and I'm just thankful I have you for class. Okay, so thank you, board and superintendent, for allowing us to be here today. And as you can see, I have a pretty special message. So thank you.
Congratulations to you all. Thank you for coming. Aspen.
That was Marilyn. She's a troublemaker.
I
Item 4B is our formal presentation for our audit report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2022. Turn that over to Mrs. Wells to make an introduction. I am logged into Zoom if anybody would like to crowd around to.
Okay, Alexander's not logged in,
Oh, she's not.
so I'm going to go ahead and present you with the audit report. We have hard copies. If you want to take one, you're welcome to. You also have it electronically through your board docs. Basically, there's a letter in the front that comes from the auditors. It's like 9 pages long that tells you what the purpose of the audit is and what the auditors do to conduct the audit. They come and we do a lot of pre-audit things that we send to them electronically, and then they come and spend 3 days going through our books and picking samples from all of our invoices and vouchers and checks and payroll and personnel records, and look at everything, make sure we're paying people properly, that that all of our books are matching up to what we say we have in the bank, and so forth. So there are no findings for the school district in our audit. They liked everything came out the way it was supposed to. Yay! Thank you to my crew. I have a wonderful staff, and I always tell them they get nervous when the auditors come. I said, if we're doing everything right, we don't need to worry. And so my crew does things right. We have to go through, and the auditors are such that you don't have to be afraid of them. If we've done something wrong, they'll help us fix it. So that's a lot of it. There is a finding in the audit for the rec board, and we'll see that. The reason that they did it as a hard finding this year is because we have the same comments, similar comments last year. And I met with the rec board last Monday, and we talked about what the finding was and what it was about and how to fix it going forward. And so their response to their finding is that they will correct what they've been doing. And basically it's just a matter of closing out the year and getting their records reconciled and getting the correct numbers to the auditor. And that's been part of it. Is Alexander here? Okay. So Alexandra is joining us by Zoom. She's from Porter, Muirhead, Cornea, and Howard. And instead of driving from Casper today, she decided to join us electronically. So Alexander, I kind of given them a breakdown of what the audit is about and what you do. And we were just talking about the finding for the rec board and how I've spoken to the rec board. So I think that you can go ahead, and the speaker's on, that you can talk and say anything that you'd like to.
Thank you. Good evening. Honorable Superintendent and board members, I really appreciate for letting you to have me zoom into the meeting today and not have to drive. So as you know, you should be in the receipt of our audit report, as well as the communication to those in charge, to the Board of Trustees and the Superintendent, list of the journal entries and the representation letter and all that. I do want to mention one thing that was sort of different this year, and you may have noticed that, is that our audit opinion used to be it was always very long, but this year it is even longer than it was before. It's about 5 pages. I think now it's our standard setters are always changing something, so they thought it would be really useful to the reader if the opinion, which was we issued an unmodified opinion, is in the first paragraph. That's on our independent auditor's report on page 1. So just so you kind of know, it has opinions. We actually issue an opinion on all the funds, on the government-wide financial statements, then also in the component units. So then there is a basis for opinion. You have responsibilities of management, auditor's responsibilities. Then it discusses required supplementary information. Required supplementary information consists of the budgetary schedules. Those are required for general fund and for the major special revenue funds, which for the district would be the grants fund, the federal and state grants, and the major maintenance. And also the required schedules are all the pension schedules. Then also there are supplementary schedules which represent combining schedules for non-major funds. And the non-major funds, the districts determines is the student activities, the debt service fund, and BOCES, which is a blended component unit. And then just we kind of end there, but that's a little longer than it was in the past, so I thought I want to mention that. Also a big kind of issue this year was implementation of GASB 87, which was leases. And at the end of the day, it ended up after various analysis with Sally, is that the district did not really have to record any leases on their balance sheet. The change for this, what that change represented is that and government entities in the past had many operating leases, and now some of the operating leases, whether they were payable or receivable, needed to be shown on a balance sheet. And this would have been on a government-wide unless there were leases receivable. So the leases that we were evaluated, and then actually turned out that none of the leases were meeting the scope. So it just took time to take care of the implementation, but it did not result in a specific change. I know that there is always a question that comes in regards to the net pension liability. I kind of maybe would point you to a footnote, that footnote, which is on page 38 of the report. So on the bottom right-hand side, there is a schedule of long-term debt. And mainly the district has only two items: is the termination benefits, which is for long-term, for early retirement. And in 2023, that would be the last payment. It's a very small amount. But the main thing what I want to bring to your attention is the net pension liability is, please note that in 2021, the liability, the unfunded liability was $8,700,000, where right now is $6,400,000. So this is significant change, a reduction in liability, but actually when we will be auditing next year, I think the board is going to see that that number has gone up significantly the other direction. That liability has this number of assumptions that go into that. The information that is included in the district's report comes from Wyoming Retirement System, and their fiscal year is December 31st. So when and the status of investments has a lot to do with it. So as you know, on December 31st, 2021, which that's where the last valuation, their measurement date is, the investments were doing really well. Well, last year, the investments were not doing very well. And they will probably recover slightly towards the end of this fiscal year, but not that significantly. So I would anticipate that bound, not even changing any kind of assumptions, that number probably is going to go back up again. So, and I think that if, just to kind of illustrate this, in what I was just mentioning earlier, the required supplementary schedules, and that is on page 50 and 51, it actually shows that we are now almost, we have 8 years. Pretty soon we'll have 10 years. It's a required number of years to be included. And please note that those numbers are sort of fluctuating. And at one point in time in 2019, the number was 13 million, then it went down now to 6, but it sort of goes up and down. And it's not something that the district will ever really have to write a check, but when you're really looking at this is that, as you know, that contributions to any retirement have been going up for the past few years, and that's partially the reason for that. So are there any questions in regards to this?
Any questions?
Have any questions regarding that for Alexandra?
We don't have a lot of control over what goes on in terms of the state and retirement I mean, we have to carry it on our balance sheet, right? But we have no control over what goes on with it,
Correct,
right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Correct, Alexandra?
Yes, and Sally has, the audit report includes management analysis, MD&A. And Sally is mentioning in that, is actually, I'll show you, it's on page 4, a management's discussion and analysis. And Sally is actually in her 4th bullet on page 4. She's mentioning that all plan components, including the major participation, eligibility, investment strategy, benefit structure, contribution rates, are all controlled by the state of Wyoming Retirement and state of Wyoming. So it is mentioned here clearly that the district does not have a control over that, but it's just, I know that it's a very big number. A lot of people have questions about, that's why I want to mention that. And this is second year in a row we had to do a single audit. We ended up auditing two major programs. We'll see how that will be next year. I don't know, Sally, if you're going to get a lot more ESSER money, everybody has. So that probably might be another program that might have to be audited. But in fiscal 2022, we audited child nutrition and again, the coronavirus, we just needed to pick up another small program. The district did not have any programs that were over $750,000 in expenditures, but it could still end up having a single audit next year. And so we had no findings on single audit. We had no findings for the district. The only finding that Sally was mentioning was that we issued was in regards to the recreation board. I think that I'm not sure, Sally, what you exactly explained, but the main issue was that the board was just not keeping any kind of a trial balance, accounting records, and that you should be keeping, and to be able to manage financial records of an entity. And I think that we found all the vouchers were signed, other things were done, but like bank reconciliations were really not done that we were able to see. So we would just recommend either, I mean, you theoretically could use a spreadsheet, but then you still have to be able to keep it in some form of a trial balance that you can actually see that, what expenditures occurred, kind of like what the district uses, clearly in a lot more simplified format, but just, that if you had spent $10,000 for a certain grant and you budgeted 12, so you still have, 12 left, because that's what the grant was awarded, and you, without having some kind of a format, an accounting system, it's a little bit difficult, and it's relatively easy to make a mistake in an Excel spreadsheet because you can just inadvertently erase a cell or something like that, and then something will be wrong. So that was the main reason for us writing a finding, and I think Sally has discussed this with the recreation board to kind of address that, and going forward, rectify the issue.
Yeah. Any questions regarding the finding? No. Okay. All right. Anything else, Alexandra?
Well, I don't think we have any other. We might have one more new standard to implement next year, Sally.
Oh, yay.
That one might be a little bit more complicated. We'll see. Lisa's have been, I have to say, has been really kind of complicated to do that, for a lot of entities. The new standard has to do with subscriptions, and a lot of our guidance was to try to implement this together, but any new subscriptions, and I think that for the school districts that potentially could have some impact. So I think we need to probably meet and discuss ahead of time to make it kind of easier to implement this. Maybe not, but I think that school districts have a lot of licensing, a lot of different things that are on subscription basis. So potentially that could have some impact on the district.
Yeah, so you would be talking about software subscriptions and that sort of thing.
I think, yeah, there's a lot of different things like that. So that's why when I'm a little concerned, I will take a look at that maybe after the first and send you some additional guidance so we can meet and discuss that.
Okay.
So.
Anything else for Alexandra? Okay. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to do this. It's, we've been trying to crunch a lot of reports for the year end, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So one thing I want to clarify is she talks about single audit, and what that means is auditing our federal funds. When she talks about single audit, that's a kind of an auditor term that you would not be familiar with, that it means auditing federal funds. So we received federal money for our food service, so they audited that, and then they audited some of the ESSER funds, the smaller ESSER funds, to do that. And we probably will have a single audit next year because we still have over $1 million left to spend in ESSER 3. So we still have quite a bit of money to spend there. But we have received a significant amount of ESSER money, and that's what kind of kicked us.
So I think most of the districts that we audit had, normally we would audit one program, meaning let's say Title I or child nutrition, or almost everyone had at least 2 or 3 because of the significant amount of dollars that were passing through. So they are very different requirements for federal funds than it would be for just a regular for a financial statement. So it's a different opinion in that.
Okay. Any other questions? I thought that might be a good point of clarification. Okay.
Thank you, Sally.
All right. Thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you so much.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's amazing, Sally. Thank you for all your hard work.
Have a good staff.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. I haven't said it takes a lot of time to put all that report together and prepare all the information for us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, next up on our agenda, item 4C, Principal Nicewinder will present the winner of the district door decorating contest.
So as you know, every year we do our holiday door decorating contest. I have several people from central office that go around and look at all of the doors and judge the doors. If you've been in your buildings for programs, hopefully you've seen some of them. So right now, and we have a traveling gnome trophy that goes around from year to year. So if Mr. Johnson and Sharina will come up.
She thought she had to do a speech.
So Sheree had the best door in the district by way of the judges, so congratulations, you get the traveling gnome. The traveling gnome. It's your building. Thank you.
So you don't have to give a speech. She was all worried.
That wasn't very nice. Congratulations. Thank you for coming. And thank you, Noel, for sending us that document so we could all see those doors. That was really fun to look through. There's a lot of work that went into some of those. All right, item 5, annual reorganization of the board. So item A, elect the following officers: chairman, vice chairman, clerk, and treasurer. So since this is something we do just once a year, I think we'll get the process right.
I'm sure.
You're sure we will, okay. So my understanding of the way that this works is that you all of us can make nominations for those 4 officers. And it says that we should make a motion to cease an anonymous ballot, and then we will, I guess, vote on those. So we'll open it up for the chairman.
Madam Chair, I would like to nominate Cassie Western for board chair.
And we can keep going, so if there's more nominations, we'll keep it open for just a minute. It does not appear that there's any more nominations, so if we can get a motion that the nominations cease for chairman.
Motion that we cease nominations for chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to cease nominations for chairman. Okay, so for the vote, we'll start with you, Nick, down at the end, and I guess for myself to be chairman.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Well, I appreciate your support, and hopefully I can, lead you the next year being chairman, so thank you for that. All right, on to the vice chairman. We'll go through the same process. So again, nominations.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Charlie George for vice chair.
I nominate Joe Gaspery for vice chair.
All right,
I motion that it ceases.
nomination
Yes,
ceased
there
for
we go.
vice chair. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to cease nominations for vice chair. In this instance, I believe I go to each board member and you tell me, and we'll go through this process until we get to 5 votes. So I'm gonna put you on the spot again, Nick.
Yeah.
I think what you're, the first, you can pick which one, but the first nomination, you're gonna go and see if you have 5 votes for the first nomination.
Great.
And then if there's not 5, then we'll go to the second. If there is 5, then.
Okay, so it's, so Charlie George was nominated first, so Nick, you would give an aye or a nay to Charlie?
Yeah, or aye, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
No.
Aye.
Okay.
Nay.
Uh-oh.
Nay.
Nay. Joe?
Nay.
Nay. Did we get nay?
Are we fine?
Yes, but I think we do need to go.
Okay, nay.
Nay. Nay. All right, since we got there. All right, so we will move on to Joe Gaspery as our vice chairman, and
Yeah.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Okay, so we have more than 5. All right, so thank you.
Sorry, Charlie, sorry. Somebody has to like you someday.
Just to make sure that,
Congratulations.
I think you can decline the nomination, right, if you don't want it.
Oh,
Yes.
Good
So
clarification.
yeah, if they nominate you and you don't want it, you can say decline. Sorry, Cassie.
Thanks, a little late, no?
Sorry.
That's a great point of clarification. You can't say that. Well, thank you, Joe, for being willing to serve as our vice chairman. All right, on to the clerk position. So again, nominations.
And the clerk now is,
Nick.
I nominate Nick.
I motion that it ceases.
The nomination
Nominations, I'm gonna get
ceased
it
for
next.
clerk. All right, is there a second?
Second.
It's been nominated, or it's been moved and seconded to cease, and a unanimous ballot be cast. It's the official term, I guess. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and Nick.
Okay.
Sorry. Aye.
What's that?
If it is a unanimous ballot, that, I believe, Madam Chairman, that
Suffices.
that would
Okay.
suffice.
See, I knew this was gonna be challenging.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great, but the vote was for a unanimous
Okay.
ballot to be cast.
So congratulations, you've done a really great job the last year. Thank you for being willing to serve in that position. All right, treasurer, which is our last one, maybe.
I move to Georgia.
Second.
I motion that nominations cease.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded for nominations to cease as treasurer and a unanimous ballot be cast. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you again, Georgia. All right, yay. Now on to item 5B, review 4 different policies/regulations All of these pertain to our school board meetings and our schedule and our agenda format and the like. So the first one is policy BD. We did review this, I believe just last year, but we do have, a new board, so it's important to go through this stuff. Are there any changes?
In the very bottom paragraph, made to notify. Not mad to notify.
I think it's meant to be mad.
Yeah.
Move that correction. Okay. Now on to BD-R, which is our regular meeting time and location for each month. Are there any comments? There's also the work session meetings down at the bottom. All right. On to BDDB. Just discussing the agenda and when it will be posted. I personally think that's working out really well. So no need for any change. Okay.
This all meets the statutes, right? It does.
Okay, and the last policy is our agenda format, which is BDDB-R. This was modified last year where we moved our consent agenda, or moved our meeting minutes into our consent agenda, and then we also reorganized the order.
Yes.
And I think in the last year it's been working really well. So based on that, I don't have any changes. All right, on to item 6, audience comments. Item 7, correspondence, Mr. Jennings.
Coach Love and Coach Johnson supplied us with the Lady Panther volleyball booklet, and it is circulating. I think everybody's had a chance to look at that.
All right, we do not have any resignations or hirings, so that takes us down to 9A, superintendent report deputy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. A couple things before we get to the fun part and the kids that are waiting here. Our enrollment is attached. We've been anywhere from 608 to 610. It's been pretty steady for the last few months. We have some training coming up. We have the Wyoming School Board Association 2023 winter board training workshops in Casper. That's January 14th. Actually, January 14th is in Riverton, January 28th in Casper. If you would like to attend, please let Dana know. I think some board members have already. We will have a board governance training here in our district office on February 1st, and Carbon County School District number 1 will come over for that. The trainer is from the School Boards Association and a former superintendent. There may be a couple trainers here. I didn't set a time for that yet. I was thinking 4 o'clock for that time, or 4:30. Does the board have a preference?
What time is it?
4 or 4:30. It's about a 4-hour training, they thought.
I can say 4.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday. 4 o'clock, I think, would work for
4 o'clock. And then we have the School Board Association Legislative Forum at the Capitol. It's a time when we all can get together and meet with our legislators, just talk about issues. It's a great time to visit. If you can go to that, Dana has made some room reservations. If you can attend, please let Dana know, and then we'll make some travel arrangements after that. That's February 5th and 6th. The next item that I have is I was contacted by Teresa Pacheco from the Boys and Girls Club of Carbon County. She was looking at branching out and expanding the Boys and Girls Club into some of our communities. I had just met with Mike Armstrong up at the Hannah Rec Center and looking at ways to try to, just get some people through the doors of the rec center, have the school support it. It made sense to me and to Mike and to Teresa to use that facility for a Boys and Girls Club. And I know Laura has been working with that committee. There's a groundbreaking coming up. Really the only commitment by the district is our principal up there will supply data, student achievement data to Boys and Girls Clubs so they can apply for grants. Beyond that, there really isn't a huge commitment the district does. If it works out for us to drop kids off on at a bus stop there, we can make that work. If it works out, and we have students living in that area, and it currently does. We're excited that that's going to open up in Hannah. In principle, nice one. If you have any other comments about that?
We are having a final preparatory meeting tomorrow morning at 9, and I believe they're trying to finalize, but I think they're gonna try and get some of the senators and maybe even the governor to come to the ribbon cutting on the 16th, so. Once I know, I'll let you guys know.
I think that's an exciting piece, and I know, maybe even look to expand to all of the communities in our district. I think it'll fit a niche that we definitely need.
One question real quick, Darren, it kind of pertains to this. Last year there at the rec center in Hannah, we had a agreement for the kids, the schools to come down and use that facility. Is that a year-to-year deal? So we'll need to read it again.
It is a year-to-year, and what they ended up doing last year is basically they would charge us every time that they went, that every time our students went, not to exceed what we approved.
Okay.
And so, I visited with, I think the town of Hannah. Vivian, yes. Yeah. And she asked if we, wanted to renew that. And I said, our students are using it certainly, but we didn't ever get to the limit that we approved. So we don't want, so yes, we've talked about it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
On December 5th, we met with our activity committee, Karen, Cassie, and Paul, along with our high school administrators and athletic directors. We visited our 60-day alcohol, tobacco, athletic activity suspension. So basically we have a student that is found in violation of our tobacco, alcohol, drug policy. They're suspended from all activities for 60 days. And there was lots of discussion on that. Karen had brought up the fact, that might be a little bit, too harsh. JD from the high school here in Saratoga also brought that up. We had lots of debate. I'm going to tell you, there wasn't a clear-cut consensus on what we should do. Where I believe we landed was, we're going to keep our 60-day suspension policy, but then have our principals and ADs look into a way that our students could buy back 30 days, whether that's attending classes, whether that was completing, coursework. And then kind of where we left off was our ADs and principals were going to look for what we could complete. Again, our job as educators is to educate students, and if they made a mistake, let's have them go through an education track in order to buy back 30 days. I think that kind of sums up where we're at right now. We'll have to get together again because it is a change in our handbook. If we change anything, it won't take effect until next year. But we'll revisit that again, I guess, in the spring. So any comments on that from any principals or activity members? Any questions at all about my presentation? Thank you all very much. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right, what you've all been waiting for. Item 9B, Principal Education Report, Mr. Hetherington from the Saratoga Elementary School.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. So we're waiting for Mr. Jennings to figure out electronics, but better him than me. So since I came, Saratoga Elementary has been an amazing time. People there are amazing. The teachers, staff, students, they're a great group of people to be with. I can't see that yet. But so I always try to start with some celebrations. One of our celebrations was Saratoga Elementary met expectations on White Top. So it's not actually just Saratoga Elementary, it's Hannah also. But for schools that have a population of over 100 kids, and Hannah is for schools under 100 kids, we were the award-winning schools for the Wyoming Principals Association Summer Reading Program. Our Dads and Donuts that we had, out of 160 kids, we had 100 participants, right around 100. HF Sinclair donated just over $10,000 to our Panther Book Club, so those kids can continue to read. The book fair raised approximately $1,500 for our library, and we had 100% teacher-parent conference participation. It's pretty amazing the fun things that these kids get to do, and our staff provides and sets up for them. And I just have some pictures of a few things. Our specials teachers set up swimming at the beginning of the year. Halloween, I had to put that one in. We had all the insurance agents in 5th grade. It was pretty fun. Our kindergartners got to go up to Medicine Bow and look for pica. We had Indian days. I'll keep going. There you go. Homecoming was fun. Hog games. We had the Unstoppable U-Man. So Come and Go donated a coolie to every student that met their quarter one goal. So they all got to walk down to Come and Go and get a coolie from them. Valley Foods and their pumpkin patch, and then the UW game. But I could stand up here all day and tell you what we're doing in school, but you guys don't get to see the kids very often. So I thought the kids could come tell you what they're doing in their class. So I have a whole group of kids that I asked the teachers to pick a kid out of our whole grade that they felt would best represent their grade. And I brought them over here, and they're going to come up and talk to you guys. Come on up, guys. Okay. So I think we'll start at the top and go down. Might make it a little easier. So for 5th grade, we have Avery Sanchez. Go ahead, Avery.
So what I've been learning as math is how to multiply and divide fractions. And reading, I've been learning how to do comprehension skills and target skills. Mainly what those are is proofreading, figuring out problems, punctuations. We're learning how, my favorite thing that I've done this year is probably my animal presentation. I chose the moose, and I learned a lot about the moose. So every time that I'll see a moose, I'll run those facts through my head.
So 4th grade, we have Lizzie Williams.
So in math, we are learning how to add fractions, turning improper fractions into mixed numbers, and also simplifying fractions. And we are also doing, we are multiplying a fraction by a whole number, and then in reading, we're doing basic diction, and also antonyms, which is basically two words that are opposites. And then my favorite subject is Wyoming history, because we can learn about our state and its history over time. And right now in Wyoming history, we are learning about counties and county seats. And the county seat is the government capital of the county.
For 3rd grade, we have Shelley Larson.
My name is Shelley Larson, and I'm in 3rd grade, and my teacher's Miss Dragon. My favorite thing in 3rd grade is when we learn about states history and sometimes geography in the afternoon. In math, we are finishing up our first multiplication and division chapter. In reading, we are learning about the complex all sounds. And those are pretty much the happenings in 3rd grade.
2nd grade, we have Kinley Hall.
My name is Kinley Hall, and I've been learning multiplication, division, and we've been doing this thing where we figure out holiday around the world, and we visit places. We visited Mexico, Brazil, Australia, and we also been doing learning words, and we then doing bar models.
First grade, we have Carly Lyseth.
I just keep forgotten. We've been adding up to 10 in math. We've been learning how to spell some more sight words. I think crafting is my favorite thing to do.
And in kindergarten, we have Hannah Crawford. What have you been doing in kindergarten, Hannah? Have you been working on your numbers?
I'm reading kindergarten stories. And I'm trying to read all 102 sight words. And
What's your favorite thing you've done this
year? Counting by 10, and by ones, two, and fives and tens.
All right. Thank you. So at the beginning of the year, our building leadership team also met. Our building leadership team is Rhiannon Plum, Nicole Catlin, and Corey Lyseth. So we start going into our school improvement plan, and we came up with 3 domains that we feel that we need to work on. And I really relied on these 3 because I was new. I didn't know what we needed in that school yet, and so I think they did a great job. So I'll have them come up and help us with our different domains. So domain 1, Rhiannon?
Yeah, so domain 1 is the instruction, and we decided that we wanted to focus on E1, which says leaders and staff work together to design and implement a high-quality standards-based instructional program that results in high levels of achievement for all students. We decided we were kind of at a stage 3 moderate implementation because there's always room to grow. We chose this practice mainly because we feel like we're having to supplement a lot of our instruction. Our programs are not really meeting all the needs, so we're supplementing a lot. So right now in Journeys, we're supplementing K3, K2 with Haggerty phonemic awareness, and then K3 is supplementing with some different phonics programs, the secret stories, and from phonics to reading. And in math, all grade levels are supplementing with some sort of math fact practice daily, because that's just not in our program. We've had to supplement that. So our goal is to increase our YTOP math scores from 46% to 60% proficient and advanced, and YTOP reading from 64 to 75% proficient and advanced. So then the action plan, we have 90 minutes of reading instruction daily. The big thing is to use data to drive our instruction. So looking at our beginning of the year data to determine what our kids need. 30 minutes of writing instruction, 60 minutes of math with regular fact practice. And then we also have a reading intervention block for each grade level, 30 minutes each day.
Domain number 2, Nicole Catlin.
So domain number 2 is looking at professional development. And so our practice that we focused on was D3, which is ongoing and sustained content-specific professional development focused on the school purpose and selected based on the needs and feedback of staff as well as student outcomes, and is provided for staff. So we rated ourselves as a stage 2, which is minimal implementation. And so we really wanted to have it be staff-driven, our PD days. And so our improvement strategies are, as a building leadership team, to discuss and determine our school-wide needs. And so as a team, we've been going to each of our staff members and just asking them for their recommendations on what they would like for PD days. And we've gotten lots of SEL interest. And so looking at trainings and things like that to implement for in the years to come for our PD days. And some other ways we're working towards our goal, which I don't think I read. Our goal is that our staff meets bi-monthly, our intervention teams meet monthly, and then our grade level PLCs are meeting weekly. And so to work towards those goals, we're doing a staff-wide book club where we're going to be reading what great teachers do differently. And as I was saying before, talking to each of our staff members, getting some recommendations for PD days, meeting bi-monthly as a whole staff, and yeah.
And then we have domain number 3, which will be Corey.
So for our domain number 3, we have talked about our intervention time that we've implemented. We have it broken right now into 2 sections. Our reading intervention time that we have a half an hour Monday through Thursday through the week. We've seen really great results in, especially in our YTOP scores that were through the roof, which was exciting. But we really wanted to come back and look at our math intervention time because we really don't have a set time for that. So that's our next goal that we're going to be looking for that there. We have talked about starting on the K1-2 end to kind of get those number sense skills up to where we need them to be to go into the older grades. We've talked about maybe doing those on math, like Math Friday situations, sending in some extra para support into classrooms during math blocks. That's all.
And so then, so we've met a few times and we're continuing to move forward on those, but I've also provided some of our scores for our WAEA and our ESSA. They're where we were and where we would like to be. Some of them are more along the lines of maintaining and some are to grow, where we feel we need to really work to move forward. We also have our Dibbles, some of our Dibbles information up there, what our percentage was and what we'd like to see by the end of the year, on our performance data goals. You guys have any questions for me, for our building leadership team, or any of our kids?
Yeah. No, they did awesome.
They did do so great.
And I just want to make a comment. Number one, I'm very impressed that you've done well to identify the needs, and I like the way that you have a plan to address these needs with clearly defined, realistic, achievable, and measurable goals. Because there's nothing, if it's not measurable, then how do you know where you've been or how you've gotten? And what I want to say is I'm really looking forward to your end of the year report as to how this is done. And I just want to congratulate you on all the work that you put in. And,
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to thank our students for sitting as long as they have. I appreciate it.
So
you guys are more than welcome to go home.
A student who participated in the voting.
Is that you, Carly?
Yeah. So, all right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. For sure.
Are you the tall one that gets
Yeah. Seth offered me $20 if I'd leave the room, so Darren had to get to the table.
I'd watch that.
I think he still has his evaluation.
Target got to use the pitch in a little more, huh?
Okay. Item 9C, special education report.
Okay. So it's been kind of an interesting month, lots of different trainings and reports that were due in December. So I'll just kind of quickly go over some of those. If you look up at the top right now, we are currently down just a few kids. We had a few kids that were dismissed from services, which is really exciting because they met their goals and were ready to go out into the real world without us. So that was pretty exciting. We did have the special education file review. It's just a self-assessment. So the state gives me, I believe it's 25 different WISER numbers, and I go through their file and check for everything that we need for it to be a legal document and to meet all of the regulations. Of those 25, we did have one that missed the IEP deadline. By looking into it, we found out that it was a procedural thing that the case manager was unaware of, and so we've since gone back and fixed that and then did some education with that case manager so that they know the process moving forward. We had indicator 13, which is the transition services, so all of our IEP kids that are 15 or older have services built into their IEPs of what we're going to do to make it so that they are successful with their goals for outside of school. So if it's to go to college, what are they going to do in high school to prepare for college? And if it's to go into the workforce, what are they going to do to get ready for that? And so we have to go through again, it's a self-assessment. They give me the WISER IDs. It's supposed to be 20 kids. We never have that many, so it's every kid in our district that's of that age pretty much. And then you go through and check. For the most part, I don't think we'll have any findings. The only area that's an area of concern with that is we do work with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, who kind of works with the kids on those post-secondary goals. And the Carbon County office currently does not have a representative. So we're trying to work with Sweetwater County, and they've been really good about trying to schedule us in and helping out with that, but it's just, they have 2 huge counties that they're trying to work with all of the kids. So that's been a little bit difficult. So hopefully we'll get somebody hired and then that won't be as big of a deal. The other thing, special ed wise, I'm really excited about this. I'm doing twice a month, just short little trainings with all of our para-educators, and we did our first one last week. It was the day that Hannah was on a late start, so it was a little bit weird and the weather was wonky, but I did have, there was 5 that attended, and then I know there was a calendar mix-up with about 6 others, so there were 11 that attempted to get on. We just went over the very basics of like the IEP process and how you are eligible for services and just kind of snapshot, and then we're gonna go on and do a different subject each time that I meet with them. So pretty excited about that. And then the last thing, December 1st, I did the required Title IX training. You have to do it every 2 years, and so I got that completed that day. It was online training. They did mention in there that the regulations are going to be changing. They think those will go into effect next school year, so I anticipate having to do another training sometime this spring or early next fall to get updated on the new regulations. But, yep, so that's kind of it. Does anybody have any?
For our new board members, Title IX is?
So Title IX is anything having to do with like sexual harassment or any kind of gender-based anything. So transgender things fit in there, and yeah, anything that might happen at the school that's gender-based.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Item 9D, Director of Curriculum Report. Mr. Nate.
Madam Chairman and members of the board, with my report this month, sort of curriculum, just gives more information about our upcoming curriculum review, which is ongoing right now. That's our K through 5, our elementary math curriculum review. Collected samples now from various textbook companies based on either teacher feedback within our own district or independent review reports and suggestions from other districts that I reached out to and responded, and try to correlate that as best as possible with any YTOP testing data that's available to us. It's a little tricky because a lot of districts don't have curriculum sets, honestly, for that long, and then after the COVID-19 pandemic, that really messed up a lot of people's data. So they say, hey, I've got this program that works really well, and their data might not actually show beyond just their opinion. But we've got up to 8 programs right now we're looking at in total, which is quite a lot, and I'm hoping to reduce that down. to a little bit more sizable of a number. I've got a team of 6 teachers now, 2 from each major area, up in Hannah, 2 in Saratoga, and then 2 down in Encampment. And actually, of those teachers, each one represents a different grade. So I've got K through 5 represented. We're going to meet together at the very beginning of school once it starts again after break on January 2nd, and see if we can reduce it down a little bit based on the information I've gathered so far. Hopefully maybe down to anywhere from 1 to 3 possibilities. And then we're going to open it up once we kind of get that narrowed down and that focus on what the committee itself thinks would be best. Open that up to the rest of the teachers in the district, as well as community feedback, board member feedback, parental feedback. It's a little bit different than what I did last year, but I think it's going to be more efficient use of people's times, because I appreciate the people that volunteered last year. I think honestly it kind of put people into a difficult situation, just because a lot of people turn to us for our expertise and would rather kind of us make those hard decisions than really try to get into the weeds of, you know, what are the minute differences from one program to the next. Hoping that we can have our final selection for the next curriculum by the end of March to present to the board and make a decision in April, so that we can purchase and get those materials to our teachers hopefully at the very end of the year, beginning of the summer. District assessment system, I have no updates at this time. Title I, I'm still trying to create this relationship with the UW Literacy Research Center and Clinic, the LRCC, for any kind of potential support with their Title I program for helping students with increasing their literacy skills. We had a previous relationship with them some time ago. It fell apart. I have no idea why or when it happened. I was able to contact the executive director and get some initial talks, and then she just stopped responding to me, and things have fallen apart since then. So I'm trying to get things restarted again, but I think that'd be very valuable to be able to tap into some resources, especially from the university, and especially when we're talking about increasing any kind of parental participation really in what's going on at the schools, because a lot of that literacy stuff, I mean, it can't just all happen at school, it's got to happen at home as well. So I'll keep trying on that. Title III, I'm starting my training and then resource gathering for required annual ELL access testing. That's the testing we have to do mandated by state, by federal law for any of our students who are identified as ELL students, just to make sure that they're making adequate growth. Parents, family members, sponsors in some cases are allowed to decline ELL services through our district, but we still have to test them, just to make sure that they are not struggling to the point that, like I told you about, I think last month we had a student that dropped out. This is also tied into some funding as well. The testing window starts mid-January. We have 13 students currently identified as ELL, so we had all those 13 students tested, and hopefully they're all making good growth. And then other work, I went into some details about a new walkthrough tool that our district administrative team actually put together ourselves with a variety of topics I don't necessarily have to go through. But this is a helpful little tool that gives us a quick 5 to 10 minute walkthrough. We go into a teacher's class, we make notes about what they're doing in the class. It's non-evaluatory, it's not meant to be punitive in any way. It's for us to walk in and see what's going on, measure that, keep a record of that, and then help us design what we're going to do, maybe with professional development, either district-wide or individual-wide based, or on individual school based on the trends that we're seeing in that data. So I'm excited. I'm sure a lot of us are excited about being able to use that, because we had old walkthrough forms and those were a little bit more cumbersome. So hopefully this new, more streamlined version is going to make everyone happy and be pretty easy to use. Working with Mr. Jennings on collecting feedback regarding our next district calendar. Most of you have probably seen that form that went out. We've gotten over 200 responses so far. It's kind of trickling down now to, I think, the last few we'll get, and we asked for it to be completed by the end of December, but some good information there, and I think it'll really help push conversation of the district accountability committee going forward. Talking about potentially discontinuing the use of Zoom in the district. We pay a lot of money for Zoom video conferencing, which we're using right now for the board meeting. We have other alternatives though. We're actually paying a couple different companies for not necessarily just video conferencing, but it's kind of a waste of money, honestly. So we're looking at potentially moving away from Zoom, save a few $1,000s each year, use something that doesn't cost as much, but produces the same results for us. And that's through Google. We're testing it. We'll test it for mostly the remainder of the year until we have the decision making, I think, March on whether or not to renew our Zoom account. So that's kind of a big undertaking. And then just other work I've been doing with any kind of supplemental curriculum programs lately. And then I know I've stepped up a lot with some direct work with one of our new teachers, just trying to make sure that they have the resources necessary to be successful in our schools. That was per request by one of our principals, but just also some observations too. So making good grounds with that person, hopeful we'll be able to keep them around, and then they'll actually be a positive addition to our staff. Sometimes it's a little hard to find good teachers, and if we can't find good teachers, we do the next thing, which is mold them into good teachers. So we'll work for that. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you, Noel, for, and the last thing in that last sentence, it's good to see the work to help teachers become better.
Yeah.
And because the ultimate end is, students will do better. So.
Yeah, yeah. I've always strongly believed in that, even more so now with everything that's been going on the last couple of years, but we're in the education business, and that doesn't just stop with students, it keeps going to teachers too. Think back to my first year of teaching, and I turned away a lot of help that maybe wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I managed to stay in the profession in some way and pay that back to other individuals to make sure we let them achieve their dreams and wanting to do what they want to do, and that's help kids, not make money.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Noel.
Okay, there is no unfinished business or new business, so item 12, consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, Joe, real quick, just for the new board members and ourselves, if we're not 100% in agreement with each single one of these items, can we vote nay? Is it general, or do we need to go through A, B, C, D, so on and so forth?
That's a really great question. I thought they had to be pulled out at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, so generally you would ask that some item in the consent agenda, if you don't want it there, to pull it out.
Okay.
And it'd be a separate individual item at that time.
Okay.
And at this point, we just make a motion to approve.
Best
the
practice
consent
would be,
agenda.
since you approve the agenda, to forward it. I guess we don't have a huge concern. We're having you pull it out this time than not vote on something.
No, okay.
The proper time would be when you approve the agenda.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just adding that these are generally the Monday, Monday's right word, but they appear at every meeting type issues, and we generally don't take the time to discuss.
Yep.
And that's what's going to appear in the consent agenda. But obviously, if there's already anything in there you want to pull it out, and discuss it.
So that would be okay to do it right now?
Preferably, we would not do that. We'd do it at the beginning, but I'd rather have you pull it out now and discuss it than vote on something you're not comfortable with.
Is there an item of concern?
There, I would like to take a look at D. Sorry, Bill, it's one that I would like to take a look at.
Okay, so is the proper way for us to approve the consent agenda with the
Separate.
removal?
Yes.
Okay, so if there's a motion for that?
I move we approve the consent agenda with the removal of item D.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda other than item D. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So now we'll move on to item 12D, approve to designate law firm, McPherson and Thompson.
So, one of the questions that I have with it, and Bill, I ask that you not take this the wrong way, But it always seems like whatever kind of scrape that we're in as far as legal wise, we're always recommending another attorney. And if we're always recommending other attorneys, quite frankly, why are we paying you guys? I guess is a blunt question.
Sure, and I think I'm not sure what you're talking about. I assume you're talking about the special education.
Yes, sir.
Quite honestly, I'm not an expert on special education. I try to be an expert on everything you guys bring to me, but I am not an expert on that. I've got a special education book at the office. It's about this thick. And when that issue came up, I was much more comfortable giving my current workload and giving the specialty that required to point you guys to somebody that's a specialist on that. And so I can, that's how I explain it. And I certainly, there's a firm in Cheyenne, Hickey Evans, who I think represent 5 or 6 school districts. And I think they're a firm of about 12 to 15 attorneys. They've got a specialist. To the extent Wyoming has a specialist in all those different areas to help you out. And that would be the firm if you guys want somebody that's a specialist in those areas to go to. I'm a firm of 2 people and I'm not a specialist of everything. Flat out can promise you that. Do the best I can with questions I get. I don't think there's been another one this year. I guess when we had COVID 2 years ago, and all the issues that were coming in on COVID, that was 2 or 3 years ago, I recommend you guys get the same firm. And in that case, maybe even both of them, quite honestly, are cost-saving recommendations. But certainly with the COVID one, it was a cost-saving recommendation because they were dealing with all the COVID issues coming in. And it would be unfair for you guys in that situation for me to try and research all those very varied issues that had all kinds of nuances, and it would have been unfair for I would have been spending 40 hours a week trying to get you guys through the COVID stuff, quite honestly. So those are my responses. My feelings aren't hurt at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and I think that just a clarification of, as to what you are and what you do and what you don't feel comfortable with is a thing.
If I guess the only thing I'm truly not trying. I'm trying to give you a straight answer. If I thought I could do something cheaper and better for this district, I'd do it. Okay. If I think somebody else can do it better and or cheaper, I'm going to point you in that direction.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Is there a motion on item 12D?
I move that we approve the 12D.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve, to designate law firm McPherson and Thompson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item 13A, Treasurer's Report, Mrs. Wells.
Members of the board, Madam Chair, your balance in the general fund on November 30th was $3,231,769.56. You can see there our revenue and expenditures for the month of November. In section 2, you can see the major receipts from the State of Wyoming Foundation payment that comes in monthly. For 8 months, we get a payment and a half in August and a half a payment in May, and then we don't get any foundation payments in June and July, just for clarification. Our tax revenue from the county treasurer is always higher for October collections, which we received in November. Our November collections that we received in December are over $2 million for your property taxes, and that's what we get from the county treasurer. It'll be less in January until you get into the May and June when people are paying their taxes. The second half of their taxes will be higher at that time for tax revenue. Our interest income and our federal and state reimbursements are there. Do you have any questions regarding section number 2? Okay. Section number 3 are your investments and where they're invested in at the various rates, and we don't have maturities. The Wyoming WIDGIF, the Wyoming Government Investment Fund, is over 3%. It would be a matter of moving money from WildStar to WIDGIF, which means I have to bring it to Bank of the West and then move it back to WIDGIF. So we're keeping it at WildStar to see if our interest rate doesn't still come in a little bit higher for the month of December. on that. So if you have a question as to why we're not going for that higher interest rate, that's what we earned for the prior month. Okay. Any questions in section 2? Okay. On the second page are your other funds. You have your federal grants. In the top section, you have your comparison between November of 21 payroll and November of 22 payroll. The payroll is up because of our raises, and that we do have ESSER people that we're paying from ESSER grants to the tune of 5 or 6 additional teachers that way. So that is why our payroll is higher for this year than it was last year. In the next section are your scholarships. We have 2 scholarships. There were no new scholarships issued during the month of November. The employee benefit fund, there are no expenses coming out of there. We finally paid off our final early retirement, and so now we have that $90,000 in there to pay for the personal days that we set money aside to do that in June. Your capital construction fund, it never changes. We're going to have some security capital construction money coming in, about $94,000, so you'll see that change in the next few months to pay for some video surveillance cameras and servers to help us with our security on capital construction. Your depreciation reserve fund, there weren't any big expenditures there. The lunch fund, your encampment activity fund, your HANA activity fund, and your Saratoga activity fund. Do you have any questions regarding your other funds report? Okay. And new board members, if you ever have any questions as to what's being reported in these reports, feel free to call me at any time or come in the office, and I'll be happy to go through things with you as to what's there. Did you have any questions regarding the summaries of expenditures and revenues as far as this year compared to last year? Okay. You do have, for your bills committee, you have 2 approvals this month. You have the smaller approval is because you have board members that have payments that have come out, so they need to abstain from voting on those smaller expenditures. Okay, that concludes my report unless there are other questions.
Thank you, Sally.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that, I move we approve the following bills. This will be the big one, so you guys are good. General fund, $232,417.30. Federal fund, $44,488.14. Major maintenance fund, $44,945.17. Hot lunch fund, $28,440.44. Payment activity account, $11,434.34. HANA schools activity account, $5,594.15. Saratoga schools activity account, $15,016.48, for a total of $382,336.02.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the bills in the amount of $382,336.02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And our second motion, we have HANA schools activity account, $2,516, and Saratoga schools activity account, $3,859.44, for a total of $6,405.44. Oh, and $30 for payment activity account. Sorry about that. I move we approve those bills.
Did you say second?
Yes,
sorry. It's been moved and seconded to approve for a second round of bills to approve the amount of $6,405.44. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain.
I'll abstain.
Motion is passed. All right, item 13C, consider approve, oh, thank you, Joe. The January bill committee is Miller, Johnson, and George. Next is consider approving the audit report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2022.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the audit report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2022. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Again, great job, Sally.
Other than she
Amazing.
unwillingly attacked the rec board again.
I unwillingly attended a board meeting.
Yeah, you did unwillingly do that. Did you say that?
There's two, yes, there's two you guys have to sign.
All right, on to item 14A, review board governance leadership policy tab 2.08. Policy was last reviewed in 2015. I'll
You don't have to do
a chance to
anything,
review it. Have any comments or any
Just
changes?
No.
I feel like it still meets our needs. All right, item 14C, Region 5 BOCES report, Georgia.
I wasn't able to attend. They had to reschedule, and it was during my retirement party, so I couldn't go. So I don't have a report this month.
All right, item 14D, appoint board member to one-year term on the Region 5 BOCES board. Georgia, is that something that you're willing to
I
do?
would really prefer if someone else would do it. I've been doing it for.
You have many years.
5 years. 5 years probably.
Well, thank you for doing that. Is there anybody that would want to serve on that board? The BOCES, maybe Georgia, maybe you would be better off explaining the
I can
BOCES
kind
5
of explain.
board
So Region
for
5
board members.
BOCES is, so it includes CBRB Ranch, which is a day school for children that have discipline issues. And they get those kids from districts, which we are a member of this Region 5 BOCES, hence why we have a board member on there. We can send kids there if we need to. We also get kids from like DFS or, state, they can send kids there. And then we also have some day schools that have opened around the state that children attend during the day, obviously, just like regular school. They're not actually, CRB is a residential facility, so they actually have to move there and live there. And so it's just dealing with, you're just on the board for that. We meet once a month, the fourth Wednesday of the month at 8 o'clock in the evening.
8 p.m. And it's
all
remotely.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they just talk about, well, a big thing that they are trying to get is to get status as a school so that they can get state funding, but they are not that sort of status because of mostly I think because of the residential facility. So it's all, grant funded or funded from the districts when we send kids there to go to school and so on and so forth. So we talk a lot about that, and it's interesting to learn about the kids that are going there and the different issues, and it's kind of heart-wrenching sometimes to think about, but it's really something that I think is needed, because what do we do with these kids that can't go to they're kicked out of school basically, or they can't function in regular school. So anyway, I just think it's a great eye-opening thing for people to get and learn about.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, might I say something?
Yes.
Okay. I looked up, and we have 9 board members. Okay, and we have 4 board members that have to be on the BOCES. Our local BOCES. Then we have the Region 5 BOCES, and we have the rec board. So that's 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So, to equally distribute, and I don't think any one of us should be on maybe too many. So I was thinking if nobody else wanted to, I would do the Region 5 just as part of to expand my horizons. So I would volunteer for that.
It's really, really great. Thank you, Joe, for being willing to
Yes,
serve on that. Okay, so would I would assume you would start at their first meeting in January?
Yes,
You've already,
and I think sometime, I don't know how we submit the information to them to say that.
I will notify them.
Okay, yeah, so then Dan, like when I started doing it, Dan, the executive director, came around and he like kind of went over stuff, and which obviously, I mean, you've met Dan at the board meetings and stuff that he's come to, so. I don't know if he physically would come and maybe Zoom or whatever, but he kind of goes over some of the parameters and stuff like that. But I know he did say that we need to let them know after this board meeting changes, so.
okay, thank you. When, Dana, do you know when do we make appointments to our BOCES board?
That's kind of just a question. I don't know that it is an actual scheduled
like something
change time. I mean, you certainly could change the makeup of the BOCES board. I'm not sure, Erickson, if you read in the handbook, I could never find that there's actually a time when they are appointed. I think changes can be made, but I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, I didn't see
when.
anything either.
And there's 4 on it?
There's 4. And the BOCES board will restructure just as we did tonight here for the general board next month.
Right, so this would be an ideal time to change that if there were to be a change. Is that what
at this time?
Can we make that change at our meeting tonight without it being on our agenda? No? Okay. Okay. So I mean, I'm assuming that you would prefer to get off the BOCES, our local BOCES board, and we can appoint someone else. So we can add that to our agenda for next month.
Yes.
And make a change at that point. Okay. Well, thank you again, Joe.
Oh, look, I swear the documentation would inform the BOCES that it talks about the term.
Yeah, I was thinking it did. I thought we just did it at this meeting under all the other
appointments.
Yeah. Because I think that's when, because I think had I only been 1 year? I've been there 2 years. I see
2 years.
I don't even know that, but yeah, so I think it was at this meeting.
And it very may well have been in the past, but I do feel like our items are pretty specific, so if it's not listed and Bill doesn't recommend it, that we wait until our next meeting.
Can we use the bump, like the positions to the next month for BOCES, or?
We can, just, okay. So I'll talk to Stacy about that and make sure that we get that changed. We do not have a meeting for BOCES in February, I believe, so it'll actually be in March when we make those appointments.
Okay.
Okay. All right, item 14E, appointment and/or review of board members to serve on the district transportation activity and salary committees. It does show who's on those committees currently. I really like the idea of some continuity. I feel like, I'm, for example, on the activities committee and I'm relatively new and I'm finally feeling like I have a grasp on some of the issues. So the first thing I would ask is if there was anybody that wanted, of our board members that wanted to be on a different committee, if you're happy where you're at. Okay, all right, so for the transportation committee, right now, Gaspery and George are our current members. So if Janet, are you willing to serve on the transportation committee?
See what it tells me what to do.
So one thing I should say are these committees meet about once annually, and you'll a lot of times talk about issues that are important, things that come up, and then there's some things that might be discussed annually. Like, in Mr. Jennings, if you have something to add.
I'm sure, like, we want to change our bus routes, which that's, possibly coming up this year or next year. We'll take our changes to our transportation committee just to have our bus routes changed.
That's fine, sure.
Okay, and the way it is right now is everybody's on one committee.
Right.
I think there might be one board member that's on two. All right, yeah, so activities, Clark, Western, and Condit, we'll keep that one the same. Salary committee, Miller, Wamsley, and Gaspery, so it is you, Joe, that has more than one. Would you like to continue to serve on both of those? We like to have at least 3 board members on each committee. So, yeah, okay. All right, so Maria, if you could serve on the salary committee, does that work for you? All right, so you'll just get some more information as the year progresses and as things come up and when those meetings are scheduled. Okay, 14F, board member comments. Put you in the hot seat earlier, Nick. I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First thing is I'd like to welcome our new board members in their official capacity, Janet and Maria. It's good to have you here. Congratulations to our track athletes. That's, yeah, cross country.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Cross country.
We just know your kids
Go awful. Our cross country team. That's an incredible accomplishment. Served a lot of credit. I'm glad. A lot of work has to go into that, so it's very impressive. So I'm very excited about the Boys and Girls Club, the potential there. I think that could be a good thing. And then to Ms. Sally Wells, once again, this audit is no joke. That is some serious business and a lot of serious work. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that you did this district a very, very excellent job, and I appreciate your efforts. Great.
I know, if Mrs. Clark retires, I'm retiring.
As am I. We'll all go.
So, and with that.
Welcome. Glad to see you guys here. Don't be afraid to ask questions, or like if we're going through stuff and you're like, just ask. We're not super formal, so we want you to know what's going on for sure. I mean, Nick has been great about what do all those acronyms mean? So, I mean,
that's a lot.
We just want you to know what's going on and not feel like you're like blindsided. It takes a while to figure it all out, so, and I mean, I'm not sure we ever get it all figured out, but we welcome you.
Thank you.
I want to say I made it to one concert. Tim came in, it was great. I love to see it was the elementary, the kids are so awesome. And I saw videos of others, and I think we have great students, talented students, and awesome instructors, band and choir, so I think that's awesome. Thank you to the students that were here, from the cross country to the little ones. I mean, that's amazing. The little girls, like, they just talked like they had nothing to be afraid of, so I think that's great. And the teachers and Mr. Hetherington, thank you so much for the presentation. Congratulations to Sheree Notwell for the door. That's pretty cool. And just thanks to all the staff for all of your hard work. First semester almost down, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Enjoy your break.
Done?
I can keep going if you want.
Ditto a lot of what you guys said. The cross country is fabulous. I think every year we got somebody from the Saratoga cross country up here. The women's championships are all state. So great program. Welcome new board members. Again, would like to thank James and Casey for the years that they've spent on it as well. Thanks Sally, for the audit, even though you, beat up the rec board again. And I learned something, as good as Sally is at what she does, she's almost as good as, if not as good as, making prime rib too. So when you guys, we had our rec board Christmas party over there at Sally's place, and if you guys are ever needing a place to go eat. Beat the drum of the bus drivers. The roads are nasty, miserable, terrible. Thank God they're all getting our kids where we need to be without too many problems, and wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off everybody. You know, the little girls ended up there talking, I relate really well to them because it's usually what happens to me if I get up in front of a crowd. You know what I'm saying. So those guys are gonna do pretty good. Welcome new board members. Like Georgia said, don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking a dumb question is one of my specialties, so don't feel bad. But yeah, ditto what everybody else said. And Merry Christmas. See you next year.
All right. I echo a lot of it. Congratulations, Mr. Honholt, also on being the coach of the year for cross country. You messed me up. I even have it wrote down and I said it wrong. My son would be so mad. There's a huge difference. I made locker posters once and you cannot use the track symbol. You have to use a cross country symbol. Like, it's a whole huge thing. You wouldn't expect that. We're very lucky to have Mr. Honholt, who's been there forever. He's a great influence for the kids and they all love him. So that's probably why they run. Congratulations to Grant and Grady, because that is an amazing achievement. Those boys ran with giant blisters on their feet that I probably wouldn't have walked in. I probably would have had to be wheeled around in a wheelchair, and they ran 8 miles plus every day. And it's such a cool thing that they have such great work ethic and like to run, because I don't know who likes to run. It's kind of a crazy thing to do. Thank you to Paul. I know, don't get a big head. I know this is gonna be a moment for you, but you did something, you stood up for something you wanted to know about, pulling something off the consent agenda, and I appreciate that. Because sometimes that's hard, so.
As long as Bill don't have a gun back there.
He might take you out when you get outside the building, but it was still a brave thing to do, so. I'm glad to see everybody, I'm glad everybody's doing well, I'm grateful for everything we have and all the people we have in our district, and especially the kids, and that's why we're here, so, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to add anything to what's already been said. However, I just want to say congratulations to the musicians, the singers, and I gotta add the actors, for all of the wonderful performances at the Christmas concerts and musicals. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Those concerts were pretty amazing ones here. Pretty fun to see. Again, congratulations to Rex and the cross-country team. It is really fun to see them come in. Also, congratulations to Rowdy Alameda and Maddie Teichman for their all-state band and choir. It's pretty cool. I would like to thank the other BOCES board members. I mean, it's another commitment. We have to meet almost monthly before this meeting, so it really does make for a longish day. We did approve a procedure at our meeting earlier for dual and concurrent enrollment, so I'll make sure that that gets disseminated to the board so you guys can all be aware of the changes that we're making. If you have any questions as to why those were made, don't hesitate to reach out to any of the board members or to Stacy Erickson, because it might be something that you guys hear about. I would also like to thank Georgia for serving on the BOCES 5 board, and to Paul for the rec board. Thank you guys. I know those are also big commitments. Welcome Maria and Janet. Glad to have you guys. And I think Nick said it best, Sally, you're a great asset to our district, and thank you for all your hard work. Thanks Mr. H for your improvement plan. It was really good. Tried to almost done. And thank you to whoever provided all of our snacks and everything. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Well, thanks for the warm welcome. This was very much a learning experience. I've learned that Sally has a big plate and it means a lot, so listen to what Sally says.
Carefully.
I guess to add, I've seen the volleyball booklet come around just because my daughter had one in the house, and I'm very impressed that that information is all compiled together. I just think that's pretty cool that coaches spend that time to do that, put that information together. So I'm just happy to learn new stuff, so guess I'm on board.
Okay, and thank you everybody for welcoming us and for the offers to answer questions. I always have questions. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to help the kids. You know, it's the future of all of us, you know. So it's a good place to be, is here with, you know, an opportunity to do things for kids. And I thank Sally, I thank you for the snacks, you know, just for being here. And congratulations to all of the things the kids have been doing, the concerts, the cross country and all of that. And I just appreciate being here. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you. All right, on to item 15, executive session.
Madam Chair, just real quick, on the BOCES board, this is the BOCES agreement. The term of each BOCES member shall be the same as your term with the Board of Trustees for this board. So for anyone that's newly elected on the board of Trustees, or if your term came up and you've been re-elected, that would terminate your term with the BOCES.
Okay, so it'd be a four-year term.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Okay, so if we had a BOCES board member that wanted to resign, they could resign
Same
that
thing,
still, and then we would
the
just.
board just be
Okay. Thank you.
So technically, he could resign and then we could just appoint somebody at the next meeting.
Yes, I think we'd have to take action on the resignation at our BOCES board meeting, and then that would open it up, and then we could make an appointment on this board to the BOCES meeting, so it might take a couple of months.
We said re-elected too, right?
Yeah, for you individuals, if you're re-elected or newly elected, your four-year term
So Charlie.
on this board is the same as the four-year term.
You would have went, basically, yours was done.
Yeah.
And now you're re-elected.
Well, what, wouldn't even, because I was re-elected too.
Yeah.
So all you guys would need to be reappointed.
Okay. But we can't do that at this meeting, right? So if at the next meeting, can those board members like be part of that meeting, the next BOCES? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because all of us are on there,
yeah,
so
until they've been
reappointed. Okay. So it doesn't.
So it's not you at the meeting.
Okay.
So
Well, I was re-elected too.
I would probably blew a hammy if I ever tried to do that.
Just wait, I tried to
Go with you guys.
Technically, it's this board that's appointed, so you need to resign with this board.
Okay.
Okay. I understand.
That got complicated.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll make some changes at next month's meeting. All right, item 15A, executive session.
Madam Chair, I move we enter into executive session and talk about personnel.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to move into executive session to discuss personnel issues considered confidential by law. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.